For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Hello everybody, Jeremy Bradley here. Welcome to The Scribble episode 10. This is like a milestone already. 30 minutes of chatter. Generally, we've been doing celebrity interviews. I'm thinking we're going to take a break from that next week, so why not have some laughs today? We've got some really funny comics who are going to be joining us. Shall I name drop? Let's do it, okay? Gilbert Gottfried, Chris D'Elia, Russell Peters, Margaret Cho. Does it get any better than that, folks? It really, really doesn't. And so everybody who's tuned in on iTunes and SoundCloud, thank you so much for your feedback. Remember, our website is thescribbleshow.com, thescribbleshow.com, and also follow us on Twitter at thescribbleshow. So, without any further ado, let's get to the celebrity phone.
Celeb spotting on The Scribble.
Gilbert Gottfried is joining us on the line. Now, Gilbert, I have to say, last time you were on our show, we were live on the shag carpet at the Comedy Central Roast of Roseanne, and you were talking about masturbating. So what do you want to talk about today?
Still masturbating. I like to talk about subjects I know about.
Okay, so you've got first-hand experience then.
Yeah, it's just like they tell writers, write what you know about. And so I'd be just writing novels about masturbating.
You must be a really fast typer then with one hand, right?
Yes. No, at this point I'm typing with my elbows.
Okay, I was going to say you've got some really good shorthand. Oh, no. It's just...
So the roast is beginning already.
What's off limits, though, when it comes to roasting? I mean, generally people have a good sense of humor when they're being roasted, but what crosses the line? Is there anything that crosses the line?
With me, obviously not.
Right.
Like when I remember I was doing the David Hasselhoff roast, and the producer came in and said, Pam Anderson just agreed to do this at the last second, so go easy on her. And that's the worst thing you could have said to me. Then I was doing the most obscene Pam Anderson jokes, and afterwards, when everyone's hugging each other, she hugged me and said, I hate you. And so that's the worst thing you could say to me is, oh, don't mention this and don't mention that, because then I'll go immediately there.
Right. Okay, so what crosses the line, though? Is it maybe like personal shots about somebody's kids or family? Like what is there anything that crosses the line, though?
Well, it's a funny thing, not just roast, but audiences in general. Like I had that problem when the Aristocrats talks about that. I did a joke about September 11th, and that got horrible boos and hisses, and then I followed it by doing the Aristocrats joke. So September 11th is bad taste to joke about, but incest, bestiality are perfectly fine. So you never really know.
But should comedians kind of test the water? Like, if you make one joke about it, then kind of leave it, maybe come back to it? I mean, as you were saying, if the audience reacts and all of a sudden turns against you, I mean, how do you come back from that?
Oh, that's always a tough one. I just wind up going more offensive after that. I see what you should do and shouldn't do. I feel like I can say anything I want about someone else, but if they make fun of me, I feel it's insensitive.
Right. Now, if you could pick one person to roast and just really skewer, who would it be and what would you say about them?
Oh, just anyone. I can't narrow it down. I just like to see anyone's pain and general discomfort.
You know, we've had some questions sent in, so I want to ask you this one. Do you think the public is too overly sensitive when it comes to comedy these days?
It's insane. It's like just recently, that guy who was the star of American Pie got in trouble for sending what they said was a tasteless tweet. So basically the guy who was masturbating with an apple pie in a movie is being accused of bad taste now. It's pretty insane. Like, everybody, it's like you say, why did the chicken cross the road as a joke, and you gotta apologize to every chicken.
Right, because now that chicken was raised on hormones and probably has some sort of internal problems, right?
Yes. You have to apologize for everything now, and in fact, I have an article in Playboy magazine called The Apology Epidemic. And it has. It's like everyone, you can't say or do anything without apologizing afterwards.
I didn't realize, so you're the centerfold in the next Playboy, is that?
Yes. You don't see anything, my thumb is in the way.
You're holding a copy of the magazine, and it goes back to that masturbation thing.
Yes, and I have a podcast on now called Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal Podcast. You could listen to it on gilbertgottfried.com and subscribe to it on iTunes or sideshownetwork.com.
For sure.
.tv.
Right.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Just do a search. After you're done Google searching your porn, look up Gilbert Gottfried. You might also find some. Well, anyway, another question that was sent in. Would you recommend people getting into comedy as a career or as a hobby? What advice would you give someone?
It's so weird. I mean, it's like when you start out, like when I started out in this business, you start out as a complete idiot. So I was a complete idiot, and I didn't think that the chances of even eking out a tiny living are 1 in a billion. So it's so hard now to give advice because, my stupidity level was much higher years ago. Now I see, like, reality of things.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the only advice I can give on comedy is, go up, do it, and keep doing it.
Gilbert Gottfried, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom41.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 41.com. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom41.com.
Celeb spotting on the Scribble.
Continuing our look at comedy, we are now joined on the line by Russell Peters, fellow Canadian. Hey, Russell.
Hey, Jeremy.
When it comes to sitcoms and, the other primetime shows that are on, the scripted comedies, let's say, what do you think of the way television writers are doing comedy these days? Shows are getting canceled really quickly.
Shows are getting canceled quickly because they're so focused on... the problem is political correctness has really, really ruined the way we speak. We're not allowed to say anything anymore. And the problem with that is people focus on the words instead of the intent. And that's what you really need to focus on is the intent. What was the intention behind the person saying this? Was it intended to hurt your feelings? Was it intended to be offensive? Or was it just said intended to make you laugh? And you really got to get to the root of the intention with words, because people are just crazy with it nowadays. Everybody wants to be that person who's like the whistleblower. He said this. He's a bad person. I'm like, no, just because they said that doesn't mean they're a bad person, you idiot.
Well, no, exactly. Isn't that weird, though? Like, back in the 70s, at All in the Family, everybody always talks about as being, hilarious, and now there's a warning because it's offensive, and we're almost taking a step backwards in terms of our tolerance for things.
There's that, and then, this whole freedom of speech thing that we're always bragging about is really, is almost void at this point. You can't have freedom of speech if you can't say what you need to say. Right.
About hecklers, you always hear those stories that it's the smoky comedy clubs, the drunk guys in the audience think they're funnier than the comedian, and then I imagine it takes your routine in a whole other direction. I'm not a stand-up comedian, so I've got to ask, how can you prepare for that? You just spit out whatever comes to your mind? Tell me about hecklers.
Well, as a comic, that's what you're supposed to do is say what comes to mind, but, a lot of times the audience, comedians, we're a little darker than most people can get. So we go for the jugular, and then that usually turns people against us, even though we didn't start this whole, battle with the person. So you kind of, it's something that we don't look forward to, and it's not welcome at the shows. It's just, it's a job hazard, if anything.
Is it something that happens often, though?
No, not really. I mean, if you deserve it, maybe, but if you're having a good time up there and somebody wants to just be a jerk, then that's really their problem, not yours.
We've had some questions sent in for you, so we'll get to as many of them as possible. Mark asks, your humor can be pretty risque. Is there anything that is off limits that you won't make jokes about?
I generally stay away from religion because I don't believe in a religion, or any religion for that matter. And a lot of people do, and they're very passionate about it, and if you need religion in your life, then that's good for you. It just, my opinions on it are just that, my opinions on it. So I always stay away from religion because I'm not there to offend anybody or hurt anybody's feelings. I just want to make you laugh, and that's really the bottom line with a comic.
Okay, Roxanne asks, do you remember the first joke you told that got you big laughs?
No, I don't remember the first one that got me big laughs because I remember having to work for a couple of years before I got some big laughs. But I can imagine it wasn't very good nonetheless.
What is the process like, though, when let's say you're putting together a stand-up routine? Do you bounce your jokes off anybody? Do you just kind of get an idea of what you think is funny so people will find it funny? Like, what sort of preparation do you do?
Well, like I am now in the process of getting my tour material ready to get on stage every night for 2 or 3 shows a night and work it out till it fits and it sounds right and moves right and makes people laugh.
Do you have an example of a joke or a line or a story that you thought was just kill, but it totally bombed?
There's plenty of jokes where I think are hilarious and they never get the reaction that I think they deserve, and then maybe it could be the way I'm saying it, could be the tone, it could be the crowd. There's a good chance the joke may have just sucked, and I thought it was funny.
Karen asks, did you have any idols growing up? I guess comedic idols. What made you want to get into the business, she asks.
Well, I mean, I love George Carlin and Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy, and Don Rickles, and being a Canadian, we have a great way of looking at the world because we're outsiders, so to speak.
Well, I could chat with you all day, Russell. It has been so much fun. And check out all the details on Russell Peters' website for tour dates and appearances and everything else. Oh, Russell, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Celeb Spotting on the Scribble.
A hilarious comedian. You saw him skewer Justin Bieber on the Comedy Central roast, and he's probably got one of the most mispronounced last names. Chris D'Elia is joining us on the line from NBC's Undateable. How are you?
That's right. Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Good. You know, we're going to talk about the show in just a second, but I want to talk about comedy in general.
The audiences are getting, more hip to it and smarter. So, they've seen everything. They've got the internet, and TV needs to catch up because they can look up everything online. So we've got to kind of beat them to it. We need to be a little quicker and a little smarter, and show them new things.
So, yeah, I guess you're right. What you're saying is there's other platforms where you don't have to be so censored, really. I mean, you have to look at the comedian's intent. Are they intending to make you laugh, or are they intending to upset you or to make you offended? And so I guess TV, right, the restrictions with FCC and all those different things, that it makes TV unfunny, I guess, to a lot of people. They're wanting something a little bit more edgy.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes, they're funny's funny. It's like you can't go for the shocking part. You can't go for you can't go for shocking just to be shocking. So there's a balance and there's a fine line. Funny's funny, and I think that just like trying to find that is what audiences appreciate.
Which I think is funny because I remember the first night that Whitney was on, my cousin put on Facebook that she was actually laughing out loud. And I found it interesting. It's like, you're watching a sitcom,
Right.
You should be laughing. But it just seemed so shocking to her, like, oh my god, here's a show that's actually funny.
I know, because I think that people, exactly like what I was saying, they're just hip to it and they get it. And you've got to be smarter than what they're used to, because they can look everything up immediately at their fingertips. They're not waiting for their favorite show anymore. They can go get it whenever they want to.
A couple years ago, I was reading a critic in one of the newspapers had said that the late night shows, the Jay Leno's, the David Letterman's, the audience doesn't really laugh at the joke so much as just applauds now, which is also kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they've just kind of been conditioned what to listen to and what to laugh, that they don't think it's just like very drone-like and just applaud, which is not the same as funny. You're not just supposed to applaud because the joke is over.
Right.
You want to actually be funny.
Okay, well, people are laughing, though, at Undateable, so it's on NBC. The show is following a group of friends that I think are relatable probably to a lot of people in their circle of friends, but set us up. What's the show all about?
The show is basically the blind leading the blind on dating. You got my character, Danny, who is a quote-unquote cool guy that is trying to navigate his life through dating and through meeting girls and getting laid, so to speak. But we find out that he's undateable in his own way because it's hard for him to keep a relationship. It's hard for him to keep girls interested because girls just want to be with him for a night or two, and so he's undateable in his own way, and he tries to. But since he's good at getting girls, he's teaching these dorks, so to speak, his friends that are just not good at getting girls, trying to get them dates, So they're not good at getting dates, but then my character is not good at keeping them. So we're all undateable in our own way.
We had a question sent in asking if you relate to your character or if you have related to your character at any point in your life.
I think that everybody's had their moment of being undateable in their life. So, yeah, I've definitely felt insecure, or I think it's all based on insecurity. If you think you can't get a date, then you can't get a date.
Well, no, that's why I said earlier, I think that we all have at least somebody in our group of friends or somebody that we know that we're kind of pinpointing, going, that's kind of Leslie, that's kind of Justin, and like you're saying, we've all gone through it. So maybe it's actually us. We're trying to put it on somebody else, though.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Now, of course, earlier this year, we did see Justin Bieber take a good ribbing from you, and I guess over the last little while, you've sort of become friends with the Biebs.
Yeah, Justin's been cool to me. He comes to see me do stand-up a lot at the Laugh Factory,
and it's been a few months, and he's been cool. He's tweeted about me a few times, and he supported my comedy, which is cool, man. So I support him back.
Mm-hmm. And now, so one question. I know we don't want to rehash the whole Bieber thing because everybody's sick of hearing about it. Is he just misunderstood? Is he really screwing up? What's your take?
I mean, look, dude. If I was his age and had the attention and the money he had, I would make some mistakes too. I think that the guy's. I met the kid, and the guy's he's a good guy. He's a good guy, and I think that people are quick to judge and quick to jump on somebody who's on top, and he's the one who's on top, and people just kind of are going to give the person who's on top a lot of crap, and it's unfortunate because the kid's he's a good guy, and a lot of times he's misunderstood just because people think that they know somebody and they're just gonna jump on him, and it's too bad. People need to give people chances.
Right. But Bieber got his ass handed to him at the Comedy Central Roast, and it couldn't have been funnier. Chris D'Elia from NBC's Undateable, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much.
All right.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom41.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 41.com. Go to freedom41.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom41.com.
Celeb spotting on the Scribble.
Let's be unfunny for a second. Of course, lots of hilarious guys have joined us earlier in the show. Margaret Cho, very, very, very funny comedian. Makes you laugh, sometimes makes you think. But one of the things that I admire the most, and we've had her on our Top 40 music show, top of the charts, is that she sticks up for people and is a great representative for the LGBT community. She's spoken out about equality, and she's joining us on the line right now. Hello there, Margaret.
Hi there.
So tell me why. Why did you decide to speak up for the community?
Well, I grew up in the 70s, and I grew up during the time in San Francisco of Harvey Milk. And so having this incredible activism hero that was somebody that was, just like from the neighborhood, somebody that everybody knew, and, that I grew up with the best example of somebody who really changed everything for the good. And so I wanted to continue doing that. In the 80s and the 90s, I did a lot of AIDS activism work. And to me, that was how I grew up. That's how I became a woman. And I'm so proud to have done so much activism on behalf of my community.
And I, everybody appreciates that, of course. And so one of the things that, we were talking about before we went on the air was how characters are depicted on TV shows. I know Glee tackles, the gay bullying thing all of the time. What's your take on that and the representation of gay characters?
I love it. I love Glee, and I love what it has done to bring these problems to light. I mean, these issues are real. It happens, and we see it happening in the news too much, and kids need somewhere to turn to feel like they're not alone, and Glee does a great job of that. And I mean, I think it's also so impressive that so many people have been reaching out to kids, making these videos, for the It Gets Better campaign. It's so phenomenally great, like how much the world is showing how much we care about kids.
And for a long time, when there were gay characters and conflict like that on shows, it was during dramas, right? It wasn't on a comedy. Glee's a comedy, and they have some pretty heavy subjects that they take on.
Which is wonderful, and I think that's what comedy's job is to tackle the uncomfortable things in life and the big things in life and the difficult things in life, because humor can help you endure that, and humor can help you through that. And I know that comedians know this, but it should be the job of comedy to do these things.
let's talk about that then. Why did you get involved in comedy?
Well, I always wanted to find a deep truth in something, and to me, comedy is the deepest truth that there is, and there's so many different things you can do as a comedian, but I always look for truth, so to me, that seemed like the right job.
Were you bullied as a kid? How did you deal with it?
Oh, yes. I was terribly bullied for so many different reasons, and not just as a child, but as a teenager, and which is something that made me want to grow up very quickly. It's probably why I started my stand-up comedy career so early. I started when I was 14 and never looked back. You know, I literally ran away from home because I didn't want to be bullied anymore. I didn't want to be bullied by people who I went to school with, that were in and around me. I was really targeted and victimized a lot, and I know it was for a variety of reasons. It's for my queerness, for the fact that I was fat, the idea that I was just awkward, and people could tell that I was unhappy with myself, and so they fed on that. And so there was so much pain that I actually just became an adult right away. And I don't think that's the answer, but I do think that that's why I care so much about kids.
I mean, one thing that we do know for sure the answer is not is suicide. You know, that's certainly not... You know, there's never the resort to anything. Now, I mean, comedy is kind of like music, where it's sort of an outlet to just let go and enjoy. And I guess a lot of times what we're hearing is don't take life too seriously, right? People might say things or do things, and you just sort of let it roll off. Is that kind of the way we should look at life?
Yes, I hope that I can do that. I hope that I can definitely let things roll off, or walk through things with grace and an amount of compassion. But it's hard, and I mean, I know that it's hard for a lot of these kids who feel like they're bullied and they feel completely isolated, and I know what that feels like, and I really feel for them.
And as I mentioned earlier, you're a role model and inspiration to a lot of people, and I'm sure you get fan mail of people thanking you. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind? Any one letter or person in particular that you've met?
Well, something was forwarded to me that somebody wrote on somebody else's Facebook, but it really meant a lot. When I was on Dancing with the Stars, I did a dance that was specifically for gay pride, and I wanted people to see that I was wearing a rainbow flag dress, and I wanted people to feel a sense of pride, and I wanted to reach out to kids who feel bullied and kids who feel isolated, and call an end to gay teen suicide. And so, to me, I was so moved when somebody wrote to somebody else that they said they don't go in for labels, they don't go in for pride, so to speak, but that when they saw me do that and they saw the rainbow flag on me, that they just wept with such joy and such pride. So that to me is a really beautiful statement.
And really, I guess, there's pride in a bunch of different cities all over North America, all over the world, really. And one of the things that we really need to instill in kids, teenagers, everybody, is that you need to be proud of yourself all year round. Not just 1 week, not just one day.
All the time, yeah. Not just one day, but all the time.
And so when you're feeling down, if there's something that sort of gets you in a funk where, you just can't get through the day, what is it that you do? Is it music? Is it, tell me what Margaret Cho does.
Well, to me, I mean, it's just about trying to approach it in a different way and trying to have a new frame of mind about it, or whatever. There's always things that I can divert myself. I do so many different things in my life so that I can really kind of pay attention to something else. So I think it's just about not trying to let things get the best of you, and carrying on doing something else, and distractions, and trying not to get obsessed about too many things.
Absolutely. Margaret Cho, always great talking with you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley back here on The Scribble. You know what? Again, we're out of time. I want to thank my very funny celebrity friends who have joined us. Gilbert Gottfried, D'Elia, Russell Peters, Margaret Cho. And next week, we're going to slow things down. We have had 10 weeks of star power on this show. We've crammed in celebrity guests. They're like on top of each other. Worse than a Hollywood orgy. So next week, though, we're going to do something cool. We're going to have me talking at you for 30 minutes. I've got some insight about how you can save money. I've got some strong opinions about your obnoxious cell phone use, so you don't want to miss it. It's going to be right here on The Scribble. Again, thanks to everybody who has tuned in at thescribbleshow.com, on SoundCloud, and on iTunes. Feel free to give me a shout at The Scribble Show on Twitter. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. And I'll talk to you next time. Have a great week, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,